And guys, welcome back to Eurocast. This startup will be short because we have some stuff to talk about. And I owe everybody an apology. I know I owe an apology to Ukrainian generals because I thought that maybe they don't know how to cook no more. But clearly that's not the case. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, here you have OpenStreetMap. So, basically, this whole town is Ukrainian. Whole town of Suja, right here, it's Ukrainian. However, here is Kurchatov nuclear power plant. This here, around the city of Kursk. Ukrainians have been spotted in areas around here. So this is like 2/3 of the way between Suja and this nuclear power plant. This might be a thing because, like Russia controls Ukrainian power plant. So surely if this is a fair enough game, now we can capture the Russian nuclear power plant and like exchange it that way. I mean, for sure, that's definitely allowed, right?
That is. I think the objective for Ukraine will be to solidify their position in Kursk and around the power plants, as to use it as a shield, basically. And from there,
well, right now the only group that's actually shoring up the defenses near the nuclear power plant is Russians. However, those defenses are quite incomplete, and to be honest with you, I don't think they will work.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all, because I read a few reports on the invasion, and it seems that the instant the Ukrainians showed up, basically, the entire Rosguardia basically deserted. They basically left.
No. With Rosguardia, that's like something different. I mean, also all of them, like lots of them deserted. Don't get me wrong, but the story is that there were Ahmad soldiers, Chechen ones.
Yeah, that is true. I saw that as well.
And basically, they did a heroic retreat once they figured out that Ukrainians came prepared. And yeah, I guess that's the whole story. For Russians, I can tell you that this will be a hell to fight in. You have little streams everywhere. You have little rivers everywhere. Literally, you can shore up any position.
You've got streams, river. You've got high bushes as well. You've got a lot of plants that are obstructing your vision.
Yeah, but like highland ones, right? Like there are highland strips, etc. Around Kursk. I mean, Kursk, artillery fire has been raining on Kursk for several hours now. So, 70,000 people are displaced. This is causing a major humanitarian crisis for the Russians. I mean, that's nice for them to be on the receiving side for once.
That is true. I saw that basically it was a little more on my report. It was 76,000 Russians that were removed from their homes and basically relocated further into Russia.
Oh, no. You see, Russians call it voluntary evacuation. This is just temporary, and those people did left on their own. It wasn't like a military, came there and fighting occurred.
There was better opportunities for jobs in Moscow. They're just moving for jobs, basically.
Yeah, and those 70,000 people just decided that today is as good day as any, right?
That is true. I'm
very cool, very based. I think this is definitely future of Russia right there.
What I am a bit surprised of, if that might surprise you a little bit, is that I learned that there were, like you say, Chechens in the invasion force. There were Georgians. There were quite a few Russian ethnicities in there.
the legendary saying that CIA did like once upon a time. We know nothing about it, and certainly there are no Americans there.
I like this saying. I like it.
So yeah, I thought this story might go as this, but no, Ukrainians are straight up removing flags there and preparing for longer occupation. Because I have a theory that Russia did not intervene because they were like, oh yeah, sure, they will be here for a few days and they will just go back home.
I mean, one part of me want to say that they can't intervene faster than they currently are, I believe, because they invested a lot in the eastern Ukrainian front. So, and they were not expecting a breach of their lines from Ukraine.
Yeah,
So
they were expecting not to get invaded. Like they expected that for sure nobody will invade them.
Mm-hmm.
They were threatening to use nukes for everything, right? So
yeah,
for sure nobody will ever think about this, right? Next thing, because it's not just Suja, Belgorod, eastern flank of Belgorod. There were some crossing in those like, I guess, marshes streams here. Not a hard thing to do, but apparently not defended at all. So there is that. And here you have a Belgorod front. Here you have the areas that Russia did take. Like those fields, those little patches of trees. However, you can notice something. There are no settlements there. Yeah, because Russians didn't take any settlements. Ukrainians are here in Vovchansk, and they're basically ready to cross to Belgorod at a moment's notice. So if those Russians that defend Belgorod here just go somewhere else, then Ukrainians will attack Belgorod. So effectively, Ukrainians are pinning them right now, right there.
So basically, there's a chance that if Russia isn't able to supply the defense in Kursk, that Ukraine will be able to permanently entrench themselves in Belgorod.
Yeah, like if Russians just left Vovchansk, that would leave Ukrainian army to be free to march on right over to Belgorod.
Okay, and to basically use it as a springboard for further incursions in the future.
For further incursion into Russia, because then they will try to meet up with their army in Kursk, right? On the outskirts of Kursk. Then the dominoes will start falling. And that's how you break front lines. Because, right now, Russians were just shoring up Suja, but now Ukrainians started shelling Tetkino, which is another place. Like, there's this little nuke of Russia inside Ukraine. Like, it just sticks in a little bit. So you have Ukraine from three sides. So Ukraine started barraging down artillery there.
Mm-hmm.
So now what? You prevent another loss? Because you will lose it if you don't shore up defenses there. But if you pull your defenses there, you will lose Suja. And you can't lose Suja, because if you will lose Suja and the Ukrainian army will be unopposed there, they will march on to Kursk. So you have to leave Tetkino for the wolves.
That is true. And on top of that, like you said, basically Ukraine caught Russia with their pants down. They didn't expect an incursion into their territory. And with that, there is also the possibility that they're able, if Russia can stop them, to basically hit the metal refinery that is in the region of Belgorod. And at this point,
they are hitting this at this point regularly. And by the way, no air defenses. Russia has no air superiority over those territories.
None encountered at the moment.
They just don't have anti-air assets. Meanwhile, Ukraine moved a Patriot system up there.
Yeah, higher. Yeah,
So if Russians want to get shut down, then sure, come closer.
yeah, that is very true. And when you take into account the fact that they also have to hold the eastern flank, that is basically from the Black Sea to up to mid eastern Ukraine, they can't really commit a whole lot to this.
You know what's worse? Kursk was like their major city. Uh, so in Kursk they had like major logistics, everything. But now there's artillery raining down on there. So you can't really use it for logistics now, can you?
They were using it for logistics, as in to stage the waves of invasions into
Yeah.
Ukraine. Okay, yeah, that's a big blow if that's the case.
There is another military airfield in Lipetsk. So it's here and it's far away, like far away enough for them, I guess.
One thing that is playing against Russia in all of this is the fact that it is huge. Versailles is playing against them right now.
Yeah. And you know, if you don't have that logistics base in Kursk, that one Lipetsk, which is like the nearest like city that you can stage your military in, because you can't do it in Voronezh. Voronezh is kind of a big city in Russia. But at the same time, you know, it's directly connected to Kursk, but you know, they don't have a military airfield. They don't have an existing staging ground. In Lipetsk, they have those. And Lipetsk is more far away from Ukraine, so it would be harder to detect, you know, launches from there. So if you start your aircraft and if you go straight down to Kursk, Ukrainians will see you. But once you're like near Kursk, right? Not the same thing in Voronezh.
So if the Ukrainian can see you and that there is no air defense, they can basically afford to bring in more artillery to bombard your position.
Yeah, basically. And also it allows them to use their own aviation against you.
Yeah.
And you never want a plane shooting down a plane.
No.
That's like very dangerous and very expensive. So this effectively forbids Russia from using aviation in that area. So you need to dump, you know, soldiers that don't have any supportive trenches, like they don't have any defensive positions to like fall back to. Like right now they're constructing those near the nuclear power plant, but don't get me wrong, this will take a while. Even if there will be digging 24/7, I don't believe they can, you know, outrun a Ukrainian army if they wanted to get to there.
No, they're not going to be able to because they have the pressure of another front to worry about, and also the possibility of the invasion force of Ukraine getting reinforced. That is a big problem.
Exactly. And, you know, Ukrainians are actually, you know, waiting for Russian reinforcements because they need to arrive from somewhere. And Ukrainians know that the elite Russian units are all deployed in Ukraine. So if they will start getting their ass beat, that means those elite units arrived. That means somewhere along the front line, now you have a place for breach.
And at this point, it all spirals down from there.
Yeah, let's talk about Putin and what happens next, because I think like Putin is the last president of Russia.
I would say that I agree, but I think that what is important to keep in mind in this is that he has still like a tight grip on the oligarchy. So I don't believe that an assassination.
That's why I think he will be the last president of Russia. I'm not saying how long this will take. I'm just saying that Russia as a superpower cannot survive this.
Yeah, superpower, you're generous, frankly.
If they think of themselves as a superpower. You can't really survive that, like this shit will haunt them for years.
Decades. Decades.
Yeah, this over decades. Like this will take for like reconstruction, because this looks like the start of the end of the war. Like this looks like people coming home.
Mm, there's a part of me that don't want to be too, how to say this, like too, too enthusiastic, but I believe that Putin.
I'm just saying, like, because like how large countries fall little by little, and then suddenly everything at once.
Mm,
There's
so
just so many dominoes you can knock down.
I'm trying to think as to the context of modern day Russia. Like, what would it take for it to fall, as you said, like all of a sudden?
How about not having enough money in their coffers?
Yeah.
Because that's
Although
currently what's happening.
I think that in this case, China will be quite eager to refill them, maybe.
No, they don't want to give them money.
Hmm.
They want cheap resources, and they want them, by having the same price as Russian consumer. And Russian consumer has such subsidized price on gas that Russia would lose money selling to China. This is how their brotherly love works.
Yeah. Even with India, that's how it works. They're basically getting extorted by everyone at the moment.
Yeah, because they have nowhere else to turn.
Yeah. They don't
And
have
I
any
just don't
leverage.
see this situation resolving at all. You can only go down from now. And, like, seriously, this has been 3 days. They still can't control their own territory. They needed to recall lots of units from Ukrainian front line. I think that Ukraine will try to give them hell once they will try to advance on them, pin them in place, and then attack at anywhere else, like any other place of their choosing.
So basically, you think that Ukraine is gonna basically use the Mongol strategy, basically.
Lose-lose dilemma. You will need to spread your forces somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere it needs to be thinner. So you can either lose your territory and will march on towards Kursk, towards Voronezh, towards Lipetsk. Uh, all of those places.
There is something that is very interesting as well, is that Putin recently has put in command the chief of the KGB, of his secret services, when it comes to the invasion, instead of the chief of the army. I don't know if you saw that.
I mean, that's an admission of not having money. And like I see more admissions on the battlefield. Russians are complaining that Ukrainians are coming in from nowhere. Like they just are appearing from random places.
NATO magic, basically.
Yeah, like they're teleporting all over the battlefield. And my man, that means they don't know where Ukrainians actually are.
That would be
They've lost
really
the
funny.
control.
They've lost control of their entire territory, basically. They can't tell where the Ukrainians are in their own territory, and there's a chance that the Ukrainian can spread within the Russian population, you think?
Basically, this is like 100% confirmed that there were some agents, Ukrainian agents, that did cross, over to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of dumped and burned cars along the way,
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, Those people like definitely didn't just voluntarily give out their card that was like free of any possession. There was nothing in those cars. They were burners.
Okay, that is very interesting what you're telling me, because if there are people, Ukrainian, that basically willingly crossed out into Russia as to basically act as inside agents, how much can they, how much of a factor is that basically now that Ukraine is in Russian territory?
Well, you don't know where they are operating, then they can try to kill Putin. They can do anything. And you don't
Sabotage,
know.
yeah, sabotage supply lines, maybe.
Oh, I'm sure this is their first line of work. Finding out, where enemy is coming from. Especially since those stupid soldiers on Russian side are so dumb that they're actually sharing on TikTok where the hell they're driving from. So great. Now we know when where that convoy was, when it was, and where it was heading.
Yeah. They've been doing this since the beginning of the war, if I recall correctly. I've seen a bunch of clips about them doing this.
Yeah, and now they're doing that, defending their own territory. And you know how it ended last time.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it improving.
Another aspect that you could have mentioned when it comes to the downfall on the political stage is that Putin basically has framed this war as a brotherly war, as a reconciliation, this type of bullshit. But in actuality, he's basically mobilized the economy in a state of total war, but he can't actually recognize this invasion as an actual war.
I mean, Russian economy has been in wartime for a long time right now.
Yeah.
This was transformation to a total wartime economy 2 years ago. And there's just so many levers you can push. Russia is running out of money, out of materials, out of resources, out of brains. It's just been compounding and compounding, and this invasion is just the latest of this.
Another thing that is going to cost them a lot is that the fact that they have a lot of mechanized infantry. They've got a lot of that, but I don't think they have enough people to operate it effectively.
And they don't have enough people to operate those tanks. Yes, because they killed all their tanks operators. This is just insane. They don't have people to drive those tanks because they have been suffering like 90% losses.
This putting this all into context, I don't know what to make of this war from a strategic standpoint. Like,
Man, let me tell you, there were some units in Vietnam that were rendered combat ineffective because they suffered 20% losses.
yeah,
Russia has suffered 90.
in their mechanized units, like infantry units,
Everything.
everything.
If you'd had like 90% of loss in just one area of your military, that would be bad enough, right?
Yeah.
But like in all of them,
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
and they had this like very stupid policy. It was, if this is like an important assignment, more experienced pilots will fly it.
Mm-hmm.
Which just meant that they've been losing their best pilots since day one.
Yeah, I mean, in day one, they were doing a lot of helicopter units attacks in Kiev. They were really bold with their incursions, and it
And
cost
look
them.
where it landed them, right?
Yeah,
Like seriously, all of them just shut down, and now suddenly you don't have enough people to teach other people how to fly planes. And from where will you get there? From China? They don't fly the same planes.
they don't. Maybe from North Korea? I don't know. I believe they have
They
the
also don't
KN.
fly the same planes. North Korea has like pilots that can fly like 60-year-old junk.
Yeah. Hmm. Man, if I was Putin, I would really fucking hate Zelensky right now.
I mean, that's what you're getting from not killing this guy if you had the plan to.
Yeah, they had sent a whole kill squad at the very beginning to get him, and they failed.
Because they've been stuck in the elevator ever since, which will never be not funny. I'm sorry, but elevators, alien technology, too complicated for Russian minds to understand that they need electricity to function.
So basically, Spetsnaz was basically in search of Zelensky, and they got stuck in the fucking elevators.
Yeah, and they've been calling, those people to like release them, which is just like, you guys don't have balls. I swear, a guy from US Marine Corps with room temperature IQ would just blouse those fucking doors open with his rifle right there and then.
I mean, you yourself might have been able to do it at this point if you got the right equipment.
You surely do have explosives. Explosives fix everything. You just didn't use enough of them if it didn't fix the problem the first time around.
I mean, even not even explosives, just use a crowbar.
Explosives. Crowbar is so not cool.
You didn't play
Man, in
Half-Life.
army, you would never pass, your first day.
Mm,
You need to know what's cool.
man, I disagree. Half-Life made me think the crowbar was cool. If you played Half-Life, you know.
Yeah, sure, but C4 is also cool, and it also makes a big bomb.
That is true. That is very true as well.
And it's preferable to staying in that elevator.
Man, if I had access to it, like to the elevator shaft, I would genuinely have cut the cable with them all inside. It would have been fucking funny.
Man, I would just try shooting, at the top of the elevator.
Yeah.
I have a rifle. I'm stuck here. What's the worst that can happen? If I'm stuck in this elevator, I'm going to die. I'm on enemy territory. I would never call for help. And I would also never go to a police station to ask where the hell is Kiev.
You're exaggerating, right?
No, this did happen. This also did happen during the first openings of the war. And those were their good soldiers. I repeat myself, those who are the elites that did get killed.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness. This is beyond embarrassing. Like, imagine being in the shoes of one of the Spetsnaz that got sent to kill Zelensky in your final moments, stuck in a fucking elevator. You realize that you're dying for the ego of Putin, for basically his delusions. That's fucking depressing to think about.
Well, I mean, I know that any other kill squad would have taken the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Why didn't they take the stairs, basically? Did they fear it was trapped, or?
They did fear it was trapped, but they did get to a fucking elevator. Are you serious? So the stairs were trapped, but the elevator? Nah.
Yeah, totally safe.
Man, if they were suspecting that the stairs were trapped, they would like rappel down the side of this building, but I'm pretty sure they would know if the stairs were trapped before they were there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how, a good operation would work. You would just ask somebody to check that beforehand. You would have somebody inside that building.
Quote unquote, good operation. Important.
Yeah, but this one was special from the start.
Yeah.
So now this is day 900 something of the special military operation. 3 days to Kiev.
Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo, the Russian invasion. But like not the Russians invading. The Russians are actually retreating from their own territory. We'll see. I think that Kursk airport would be a really cool base of operations for like NATO military.
Yeah, that's true. We can do some cool vlogs up on there too.
Yeah, definitely. And they have lots of green spaces like parks. Good for them. Good for them.
Mhm.
I think this might be ours.
We can do the next Olympics there. Who knows?
Oh, in that pool of spent fuel of the Kurchatov nuclear power plant.
You gotta get along with the team of the region you're hosting.
Yeah, and by the way, since attacks on like electrical power grid are totally okay, then I have a place where you can put a one bomb. The transformer section. Nothing will happen to the power plant.
Yeah, you can just shut it down and basically cut the power supply.
No, that way the power plant will be on. It won't be just connected to the power grid, so it will be wasting resources, but not producing any electricity. Perfect.
That is true. You can do that as well. Who knows? Maybe you can make a makeshift link with the network of Ukraine and steal it. Who knows?
I've heard that some people would just like blow up the turbine building. Because if you just blow up the power turbines, the power generation is impossible and basically the whole plant is totaled, but it's not, the reactor.
If you want to completely cut it down, you just gotta get in, take out the uranium bars, and basically the whole mechanism is done.
Yeah, but you can't do that. They're criminally radioactive once you've been running the plant for a long time. So that needs to stay there. And nobody is repatriating the spent fuel. This is Russia's task. Just make it inoperable.
Yeah, you're right. Cutting the turbine is more because if you kill the turbine, basically the vapor can make it spin. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so power generation is off, but like the pumps and everything work.
Yeah.
So you can safely shut down the power plant if you so wish. And yeah, well, like why not? Why not? Zaporizhia power plant has been shut down for a long time, and I feel like this territorial right there, considering how long, like the advance was pretty sizable.
I mean, I believe they captured more territory in this short amount of time than Russia did since the beginning of the invasion.
Yeah, especially since if I like zoom out, like here is the place, like our viewers will see that. Here is the place where Ukrainian units were like spotted before like the nuclear power plant. So Ukraine walked like right here, which is just crazy. I did not get a Russian invasion 2.0 electric boogaloo on my plan after Prigozhin, but I'm proud that Prigozhin lives on, and the memory will live on forever. And I think that will be our only topic because that's like hella important one. So I need to mount this.